Where did you develop the braking knowledge from?
I had heard about this gentleman, Grandmaster Chan Poi. And over the years, I was friendly with some of his senior students. And they were teaching here in Miami. Grandmaster Chan Poi has been on the cover of every Kung Fu magazine, the 33rd disciple of the Shaolin Temple. And he invited me to go to China with him in the early 80s, 83, 84. There's an article about it in Taekwondo Times magazine. And I was the only Taekwondo person that was in this group to go to China with him. And I had heard that he was teaching his students something called Iron Palm. And I had read about Iron Palm and also Dim Mak, the Touch of Death, in the magazines, but I wasn't quite sure whether the Touch of Death actually existed or didn't exist. But that being said, I was trying to find some way to be able to be taught Iron Palm breaking. And so I hinted enough during the 3 weeks that I was in China with Grandmaster Chan, and that he accepted me as a student. So he taught me Black Tiger Iron Palm, Fujo Pai. And I spent the first training was 108 days, every single day, conditioning the hands and all kinds of other different training techniques. And after 108 days of solid training, he gave me a test, and that was to break a 2-inch cement block, which I passed. And then from then on, I spent from the early 80s conditioning and training and breaking. And at the moment, I've decided I'm going to retire. So I'm basically retired now from any kind of breaking, but I still remember how to do whatever needs doing.
Why is there no information about not the breaking, but everything that leads up to it?
Well, it's kind of interesting. I think we have the same issue with teaching as well. We don't. We assume that when you get to black belt, that you should, through osmosis, I guess, know how to teach. So breaking is kind of the same thing. It's when I was coming up, it was basically put something up and hit it and pray. And that was basically, I never really got any kind of training. I don't think most schools were doing any kind of training. And so our instructors would either put a board up, not cement, a board up, and then just say, okay, kick it or punch it. And then you just did whichever way. So they never taught you about some kind of conditioning. They never taught you about practicing before you do the different breaks. And for sixth Dan, I broke 600 cement roof tiles just to get ready. And I broke 60 roof tiles. That was part of my exam. So it was our night hand, back fist, punch, reverse hook, and downward punch. All right, so we'll talk about downward breaking. Has been my experience. If you're going to do boards, obviously, you're going to go with the grain. I mean, it makes sense. If you're breaking lots of boards, you want to make sure that you double check that all the grains are going in the same direction. I've seen it happen where someone will put up 4 or 5 boards and then they'll hit it all day long and it doesn't break, only to find out that one of the boards, the grain isn't quite going in the same direction. So you want to go with the same direction. So if you envision that you have the grain, so when you're breaking cement, if you have something that's kind of oblong, so pretend that it has a grain, right? So if I have the board this way, and I'm going to do a downward punch, I want to make sure that the grain is going this way. And if I have an oblong piece of cement, in my mind, it's a lot better if you put it oblong instead of hitting it this way where it's sideways. And you can break it any way you want, but at the end of the day, right? And you want to be able to straddle the stand if you have a stand, so that you're pretty much, you want to go up and down, use a sine wave, And if you can punch straight or as straight as you can, versus being kind of far away. I've seen some of the videos where you're a little too far away, or you're not rotating the hand. So you want to be able to straddle whatever braking material so that you can go as straight as you can to create this triangle that we talk about when we're punching as far as patterns. Create a pattern, a triangle. Okay, so you're going to go up, down, and drop your weight, rotate at the very end, so then that will increase your mass at the end, which is the formula that we have. The formula, which is not technically correct, right? So I've had some students, P equals mv squared. Sometimes they put a half in there. So I've had some engineering students, and they have not disproved and said not quite correct. So most of the time we use F equals ma, force equals mass times acceleration, and maybe that's as close as it's going to be. So the one variable that we have, we can't do anything about our mass. So the only thing that we can vary is the acceleration. So the faster you accelerate, then the more force you have at the very end, right? So that's why you want to be able, if you're going to go downwards, accelerate as fast as you can, and whether it's outwards, whether it's inwards. So you want to be able to accelerate as much as you possibly can. You want to be able to not have your elbow completely extended when you hit the target. You need to be able to have your elbow slightly bent so that you can then pass through the braking surface. At the end of the day also, you want to be able to snap this fist at the very end. So it's not turn it and then punch it. It's rotated at the very end, just like you do in the patterns. You want to use the pelvic girdle at the same time. Snap the pelvic girdle. If you're sliding in, so that's still going to be the same thing. You can take a hop and then do a punch, and then rotate the hips towards the target. And that's it. You want to be able to hit, if you're having multiple cemento boards, you want to be able to aim for the last one, because the last one's got to break first. The fine print in the encyclopedia says on the defense and attack, withdraw, right? So you need to follow that through. When you're sparring, you're withdrawing. When you're sparring, you try not to leave anything out there, whether it's a hand or a foot. And so then that translates the same way when you're braking. If you're doing outward knife hand strike, you want to strike and then pull away. You don't need to necessarily go all the way through. It puts a horrendous strain on the shoulder if you're going to go all the way through. I have done it all the way through and pop out is really what you want to be able to do, whether it's outward, inward. Although I have some videos where I'm passing through, but then you're talking about heavy duty concrete, and I still, that's just my own personal style. I just, go this way, but you should pull back. If you're going downward, same thing, downwards, in and out, just like you do in the patterns. Okay? In the patterns, you want to withdraw if you're blocking, if you're attacking, so that translates the same way. It makes more sense to me to have the power from the ground up through the pelvic girdle out to the limb. So you need to rotate, you need to withdraw, and that's the way that we do it. Yeah, one of the things that I've seen along the way is that, as I said before, that the fine print on defending and attacking, they require, I think it's item number 4 on the list, they talk about withdrawing. And so when we teach the patterns, when we teach the gups or the lower belts, we teach it so that we can correct it. And then as you start to evolve, then you need to put more definition into the moves. And so a white belt may just put the hand where he needs to go, or a color belt, and just kind of meets the attack. But at the end of the day, as you are a higher belt, you need to be able to meet the attack, push, and then withdraw. Yeah. So all of the moves, all the punches, you need to be able to show that you have a slight withdrawal, and again that all overlaps into the braking, self-defense, and like that. I don't see too much of it. I don't see too many people using their waist as well. Number 4, in this particular case under the defense techniques, with few exceptions, the blocking tool must be withdrawn immediately after contact. So that's under the defense section. And then in the attacking section, they have the same thing too. Which is why, so then when you go to the World Championships or anywhere, they see people posing kicks, side-piercing kicks. Mostly side-piercing kicks. Maybe twisting kick might be the only one that you want to pose, but all the other kicks, they need to be withdrawn. It's not correct for you to do the side-piercing kick and then just leave it there. Because when they're attacking, number 4 again, under the attacking techniques. The moment the attacking tool reaches the target, pull it back to allow it to be ready for the next action while preventing a grab by the opponent. So that's really clear. Side-piercing kick is an attacking technique. Under normal circumstances, if you throw it and leave it out there, someone's going to grab it, they're going to sweep, they're going to break your leg, they're going to throw. So not too